Welcome to the Find Your Exit podcast, where the leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing companies, Seiler Tucker, is dedicated to helping you find the path to retire rich and move on to your next adventure by exiting your business for the desired dream price you deserve. Get ready to find your exit with your host, Seiler Tucker.
Welcome to another episode of Find Your Exit. I'm so excited to have James Malinchak on our show today. You know, after growing up in a small Pennsylvania steel mill town near Pittsburgh as the son of a steel worker and a housewife, James Malinchak is recognized as one of the most requested in-demand business and motivational keynote speakers and marketing consultants in the world. And he speaks for groups ranging from 20 to 30,000. James was featured on the hit ABC TV show, The Secret Millionaire. He has authored 21 books. Wow, that's shocking. 21 books, and has delivered over 3,000 plus presentations for corporations, associations, and universities. Giving back is a big part of James's life, as he has raised over $1 million for various charities and organizations and has donated money out of his own pocket as well. James is a behind-the-scenes go-to marketing advisor for many top celebrities, authors, speakers, thought leaders, professional athletes, and sports coaches. James, welcome to the show.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time to be here. So you've had quite the impressive resume and impressive career. So how does a boy from a small town outside of Pittsburgh build such an amazing career and such a sought out after speaker and thought leader?
Well, first of all, I'm blessed. So it helps when you're blessed, right? I just had this desire 25 years ago. I used to be a stockbroker, and I got paid to speak one time for a group, and I just loved it. You know, it was like for an hour, and people came up to me and said, "Hey, man, you made a difference in my life. You changed my, thinking," or "I wasn't planning on coming here. I'm glad I came to this company event. I'm all fired up now. I'm ready to go back and, take on the world." And I just love that. And then, they handed me a check for doing it. And I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, I could get paid to talk to people and do stuff that I would do anyway. And so,
wow. I did not know you were a stockbroker. That's something new.
Yeah. I have a relative who was one of the most successful commodity traders back in the day of the World Trade Center on the COMEX in New York. And I used to work for him on the floor in the gold and silver pits and the mercantile pits.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And, yeah. And so here I was being the stockbroker. My office was on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, and I managed entertainers and sports celebrities, and United Talent Agency was here, William Morris was here, and CAA Creative Artist Agency was here, and I was right in the middle of them where my office was. So
wow,
handle a bunch of the folks. But what happened was, when I got paid to speak, I was like, it was just so much more fulfilling than for me sitting behind a computer screen watching the stock market all day for people. And so I did a little self-reflection and said, man, what do I want to be in 10 years or 20 years? And for me, it wasn't sitting behind the screen and managing portfolios. And I wanted to go do this speaking thing.
Well, and I think you made the right choice, because I remember hearing you speak for the very first time at an event. I'm not going to say which one.
In Chicago. I remember Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah. I think it was Chicago. And I remember you running out onto the stage, and then I remember you throwing balls out in the audience. Yeah. And I remember hearing you speak. I'm like, oh my God, he's amazing. He's one of the best speakers ever.
Oh, you're too nice. Yeah. I have fun with the audience, but I'm very smart because I run it like a business. A lot of folks get into the speaking and, they think I'm just into this to change the world. And, that's one side of the coin. That's what I always teach. One side of the coin is we help people, we make a difference, we change lives. Flip side of the coin, we're running a business. And it's no different than what you do to help build businesses. It's no different than a brick and mortar business down the street. Speaking is a business, and a lot of folks don't realize that. And I grasped that and realized it from day one. So
right.
Long-winded answer. So how did the steel mill town boy get to do 3,000 talks in his career? Well, because I run it.
But I think that's imperative what you said, because I always wanted to be a business person, an entrepreneur who has multiple businesses, who speaks, not a speaker who's trying to have a business. Does that make sense?
Right. Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really smart. And that's one of the positioning and packaging techniques and tools that I always, when I'm working with clients, I said, we need to be a business person here. We don't want just some, coach or some, speaker. I want to build a real business around, I'm preaching to the choir. You're the expert at this, but, businesses has assets. You can sell those assets. A speaker is manual labor. Get on a plane, go pick up a check, or go can make an offer and then go book next talk. There's no assets. There's no business there.
That's correct. And it's very hard to sell. I mean, that's what Tony Robbins has a hard time selling his business. That's why he did an ESOP, selling to his employees.
Right.
Because he is the brand. One thing that I thought was very interesting when I sat at one of your events was that you stated that most of your speaking events is right there in Las Vegas where you live. So you're not jumping on a plane, traveling all over the country. And I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. How do I do that? Because my office is like 2 blocks from the convention center, and I'm having a hard time getting booked, even though I belong to the convention center. So what is your secret to success? And I'm not sure if you want to spill the beans here, but what's your secret sauce to get booked at those events right there at the convention center in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so that's something I always share. I have coaching programs that are 25 grand and 100 grand. People pay me to learn these kind of insider secrets. So
you got to give us a little bit.
Well, you hit the nail on. You're almost there. You're a member of the convention, and I'll give you kind of the 30,000-foot view without going into all the weeds.
Okay.
If a convention wants to come to your area, who do they register with? The Convention and Visitors Bureau. Mm-hmm. Every convention is registered with the CVB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And as a paid member, aka vendor, you should have the right to get that list. I don't know how it is in New Orleans because I've not tried it there, but you have the right to get that list of all the conventions coming. Like in Vegas, I get all the conventions coming for 5, 6, 7 years out, as long as they're on the books. Because, some people book like 3, 4, 5 years in advance. But as long as they're on the books, all that data gets reported back to the CVB, because the CVB is a data reporting industry as well, or company as well. If you look, I'll take Vegas, for example. If you walk through the Vegas airport, you'll see these big jumbotrons, and it'll say like over 50 million people visited Las Vegas for conventions last year. Well, how do they know that? It's through the CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau, because one of their jobs is to report the data and gather the data.
Right.
If every convention that is registering with the CVB, they have all that data. If you are a paid vendor, they want you marketing to those conventions coming, because another purpose of the CVB is to stimulate business within the economy of where it's located. So your local Convention and Visitors Bureau wants all those conventions doing all the business with all the businesses in your town, your area. So they want you to market. So the problem is nobody markets to them. Nobody knows about it. I was just smart enough to figure it out, and I mass market to all the conventions.
Wow. So you put out marketing material too, I would assume, because it's one thing to market, but you got to send out marketing materials. And I would assume you have somebody that also calls and follows up after you send something.
Nope. I have not done that in 20 some years.
Wow.
I'm a very big proponent of direct mail. I have for 25 years. And I love it now that everybody is seduced by the internet. That means nobody is dropping anything in the mail to people now. And so I'll give you an example. For my big money speaker boot camps, we dropped 50,000 mail pieces in the mail. And
I got one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people like you get them and show up. And that's because, think about this. You get no other mail piece from a speaker training. So I have top of mind awareness, TOMA, T-O-M-A, in the minds of all these people. Now, we still do Facebook ads and things like that. But one of the hidden gems is showing up in people's mailboxes because nobody does it anymore.
Right.
And people think it's an expense, so therefore they don't do it. I hope nobody ever mails. I will always keep mailing. But think about this. You're an event coordinator who's in Idaho, and you're bringing a convention to New Orleans. and your task is, one of the tasks is to find a speaker or a bunch of speakers for the event there. So you don't know what to do if you're an event coordinator in Boise. So you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, you start looking up speakers online and you're just finding random speakers, whoever is paying to have SEO, come up high with their website. Then all of a sudden, what comes across your desk in the mail is a marketing piece from a speaker that says this: national speaker and author lives in New Orleans. Why even consider the added expense to fly in a speaker for your next New Orleans event? I live here and I'm local. You save because I don't have to travel. And then there's a whole piece around all the benefits of booking you because you are local there, savings they get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of a sudden, the event coordinator in Boise, Idaho, who's taken their event to New Orleans, looks at that piece. It speaks the language directly to them. National speaker and author, successful businesswoman, lives in New Orleans. Why even consider the added expense to fly in a speaker for your next New Orleans event? All of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, we're going to New Orleans next year. Well, I could save money. Who is this Michelle? And see, that's what happened. It stimulates the conversation, and then they read the rest of it. They go to your website. Usually people reach out to me when they receive that in the mail.
Oh, wow.
I do
You have a
follow-up.
nice piece. Like, I think you sent it to us for your bio for today's show, but you have a very nice piece that you send out.
Oh, well, thank you. Well,
Garnishes attention.
we don't send it out unless it works.
Now, who do you send it to?
I think the piece you got, that goes to, it was the Meet James. Was it said Meet James?
Yes, Meet James. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was designed, that's not for getting talks in Las Vegas. I have a whole different piece for that. That piece is for, here's how I came up with that. I said, if I wanted to get in with, I made up a name. I said, I wanted to get in with Mark Cuban, or I want to get in with Steve Wozniak, and I didn't know him. How do I get on their radar? I said, well, I can send them my book and ask for a book endorsement, and they can see all the other thought leaders and folks that endorsed it. And they'll probably endorse the book, but would I get on their radar? Would they want me in their cell phone? And I said, no. So how do I do that? I said, well, they don't know anything about me. And they ain't going to go, they don't have time to go play around on the internet and all that. Right. So I said, nobody delivers in the mail. The same way I book all these talks in Vegas, same way I fill up my live events with hundreds and hundreds of people. Why don't I just do a mail piece and I'll just call it Meet James? And now when I send the book and ask them to endorse the book, and that's why I say a book is a great way to get in with top thought leaders, because it puts you on the same level as them, and actually on a higher level if they haven't done a book themselves.
Right.
But then I thought, if I also have that mail piece in there and it looks good, and I do it kind of billboard advertising with big pictures and all that, so it doesn't look cumbersome, they flip through that and they see some of my celebrity clients, et cetera. All of a sudden it's like, well, I never heard of this guy before, but look who endorses him and look who he works with. Man, I think I want to know this guy. And Michelle, it's been amazing. Like, people call me now from getting that piece in the mail, or they email me and we jump on like a Zoom or a phone call. And I've met so many people by leading with that piece in the mail.
Wow. So what's your strategy? Do you do you say, okay, I'm going to target 5 people I want to meet every week, and then you take those 5 people and send this piece out to? And then,
No. I call it my Dream 100.
Oh, your Dream 100. Okay.
Yeah. And you don't have to have 100. Like a lot of folks, that's a big number.
Yeah.
But it could be 25. It could be 20 people. I do that with my coaching clients also. I say, like, who do you want to get in with and do business with? Let's name like 10 companies you want to work with. That's our Dream 10. Right? And we put a whole campaign on how to learn stuff about like the CEO or the C-level execs, and how to start, we start targeting them over 5 or 6 months with mail pieces. So by the time the 5th or 6th month comes around, people are like, man, Michelle, I feel like I know you. I feel like we need to talk or have lunch or something. So it's a strategy. So for me, I pick my Dream 100. Who do I want to get in with who doesn't know me, has no clue about me, but I want to get in with them and do business with them. And that's who I mail that to.
Wonderful. And you do that once a week, once a month, once a year?
No, so usually once a year for the Dream 100.
Okay, great.
I pick like the top 100 people this year I want to get in with.
Yeah, that's a great tip for our listeners. Now, tell
it
me,
works like a charm.
when you're trying to get speaking engagements, who do you target at the, I guess you find the event coordinator, and that's who you send your pieces to as event coordinator, right? To get speaking engagements.
Well, let's take the CVB example earlier. Who's usually registered with the Convention and Visitors Bureau in your town if they're having a meeting there? It's the event coordinator.
Right. Of course.
They're the person, they're getting the photographer, they're getting the awards done, they're taking everybody out, on the boat trip or setting up golf. They're bringing in the speakers, all that stuff, right? They're getting the AV crew.
Right.
So usually the main person, the event coordinator or meeting planner, who is registered with the CVB. And so my whole thing is, so let me tell you how I was booking 100 talks a year with the cost of a stamp on a brochure. So
that's amazing. Like, you're probably the only person that really does that.
Oh yeah.
You've really been successful at that.
It's funny is I teach this all the time in my boot camps and my online courses, but it comes down to the 97%ers versus the 3%ers. 97% of the people won't get off their ass and actually take action and do stuff.
1000% agree.
Yeah, it's the 3%ers who do stuff, make stuff out, right? That what I did was I built a database of 10,000 event coordinators. Now you say, well, 10,000? No, watch this. I call it my 10-10-10 strategy. So 10,000 event coordinators, and why event coordinators? Because they all got money. They're the ones that book speakers and write the checks. So if I mail 10,000 brochures out that cost me one stamp, one first-class stamp to mail a 6-page brochure out, all about my speaking, okay, with that kind of headline, national speaker and author kind of headline. If I mail 10,000, just on mailing, no calling or anything, 10% will be interested, which is 1,000.
Right.
10% of them will book me. That's 100 talks.
Right.
If your fee is $20,000, you just made $2 million, and it costs you about, on the high end, with printing the brochure, let's say 7, 8, maybe 10,000 on the high end. So let me ask you a question. Would you invest $10,000 if your fee was 20 grand to make $2 million back?
Of course, I would.
Yeah. So why don't people, when I teach them the strategy, sit down? I don't care if their fee is $3,000 or $5,000. Why don't they sit down and do exactly what I just told them to do?
Well, I think it's like you said before. Look, I have a 5-day training course where I teach individuals how to become mergers and acquisitions experts. And I've trained probably 100.
Yeah.
And maybe 10 of them were successful out of the 100. And same thing with business owners. I mean, I partner with business owners and I teach them all the strategies and techniques I know that I've learned over the last 20 years, selling thousands of businesses. And some will listen, many won't, most won't. So you're right. It's the 2% that will get off their ass to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've always, even when I was a stockbroker back in the day, I didn't do as many as 10,000, but I built up a warm list of 1,000 prospects who had discretionary income to invest, who already had an investment account somewhere else, because that means they understand working with a wirehouse. I didn't want people who had money in a bank or a CD, a bank or a credit union, because now I got to teach them about investing with a brokerage house. Well, I wanted people who made, 150,000 plus a year, right? Who already had a brokerage account someplace else, which they're used to investing. Even better if they had 2 brokerage accounts. And my goal was I want 1,000 of them on my list as fast as possible.
Right.
I used to work 12 hours a day, for a few months, and I build that list up, and that's my database, and I mailed to them every single month, and I picked up the phone, and I had to call 10 of them a day and try to set an appointment. Funny thing happened, Michelle. You just do that consistently. Funny thing happened. At the end of my first year as a broker, I opened up 200 accounts.
Wow.
That's how I figured out. Now, that was more than 10%. That was 20%. But that's how I came up with my 10% philosophy. If I get 1,000 people and I market to those, and they're the right people, that's the key, and I market to them and I stay in front of them and I pick up the phone, literally ask them to have a meeting with me, right? They're already pre-qualified. They make the money. They already have an investment account somewhere else, maybe 2, right? All I got to do is show them that I'm a good person and that I'll give you ideas that you're not getting from your other broker. And people took meetings like crazy with me. And that's how I opened up 200 accounts my first year.
Wow, that's amazing. How long were you a stockbroker for?
For a few years until I realized, oh my gosh, like they're paying me this to speak for 1 hour.
And you were on Rodeo Drive?
Yeah, I was on Rodeo Drive.
A woman.
Actually, literally right across the street from my office was the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel where they filmed Pretty Woman. I used to eat lunch there 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from a small town and right outside of Pittsburgh all the way to Rodeo Drive and now Las Vegas. So that's amazing. Those are some great tips. Now you have good content, good copy. Do you write your own copy or do you have an expert that does that? Or you are the expert?
My role, I learned this a long time ago. When I started, when you start, you do everything, right?
Right. Of course.
And you're trying to figure things out, and it could be a financial situation where you can't afford to farm things out. And thank goodness that happened to me, where I started my speaking business by doing everything, because it taught me a valuable lesson. Hey, James, farm and outsource everything else, but don't outsource your marketing, because that's what brings money in. That's what brings clients in. So to answer your question, I farm everything out. Other like administrative stuff, I don't need to be doing that, right? I mean, that's 10 to. I have a rule. I don't do anything I can pay somebody $10 to $100 an hour to do for me.
Right.
Side of the marketing, I do all marketing. So every mail piece you see, you mentioned 21 books. Here, I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
Here,
21 books. I was shocked by that.
This is my 22nd one. This is my 22nd book that's coming out. It's called Ask James. And I've been interviewed by some pretty amazing people. Lisa Gibbons, Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank, Jack Canfield, Joe Theismann, Pastor Bobby Shore on the Hour Power TV show. This is the back of the book. And the book is called...
I think you should add Seiler Tucker, Michelle Seiler Tucker to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Now you're interviewing me. But Ask James, and it's Top Achievers interview James on success, making a difference, and becoming a big money speaker. The reason I show you this, for the last 3 nights and days, I have been creating different book covers. And this is to prove I do my marketing. I'm like, which one am I going to pick? I have about 20 different book design covers that I create. I'm the one doing all the marketing. If I go, hang on.
But wait, there's more.
If I go down here, here's my stack of others. And I'm putting together all kind of like, which one am I going to, this is proof.
Now, are these online books or are these books that you're publishing with a publisher?
This will be hardcover book, yeah.
Hardcover books, okay.
Hardcover book.
But doesn't the publisher want their own artwork? Don't they want to design
I don't go with publishers. I have my own publishing company. I outsell most of the people on the New York Times bestseller list because I sell directly to companies. I sell directly on the internet through Facebook ads. I would never go with a publisher. I mean, all they are is book printers. Unless they're going to pay you a big advance, I would never go with a big publisher nowadays.
Yeah.
But my point is,
I agree.
The marketing's so important. Look how much time I have been spending over the last 3 days to figure this out.
And you probably test and split test and test
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
Did you learn marketing on your own? Did you take some marketing classes? Yeah, you learned.
So I was forced to learn it in the beginning because, you get into a new business and you're like, well, okay, well, this is great. This is like what I tell people. Number one mistake everybody makes. You see it in brick and mortar businesses all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Flower shop person goes and opens up a flower shop, buys all this inventory, takes out small business loans, does build outs and all this, has 250 grand put into this thing. Then they put a neon sign on the front door that says open, open. And I'm like, no, your clock is ticking to when you are out of business. None of them have a plan on this, Michelle. How do I get people to walk in the door and give me money for the flowers?
Yeah.
Right? And so my thing is, the only thing that matters, in my opinion, in business, especially when you're starting, is you got to get people to walk in your door and buy your stuff. You got to get people online to buy your stuff. So I immersed myself into learning how to get really good at that. I've been doing this for 20 years now, so I'm pretty good at flipping the switch. But I put everything else aside. I'm like, none of that other, but none of that other shit matters. I need to get and keep customers. Mm-hmm. And that's what taught me the importance of, I got to be a master marketer. I got to learn this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I made the commitment and disciplined myself to become really good at marketing. All the other stuff, none of that matters unless you got customers and clients. So
now I see you're doing your own graphics there too, huh? Is that
this is me just doing it in Microsoft Word, and then once I figure out the right marketing angle, mm-hmm. then I outsource that, turn it over to my graphics person who does all my books and lays them out and all that. But I come up with the concept because that's the marketing and the mm-hmm. behind it. But the actual doing of it, no, I farm that out. This here is just literally on
you probably farm out all the tactical, like Facebook ads and Google ads and SEO.
But I write the ads. I write the ad. My Facebook opt-in page, on cold traffic to our opt-in page, is converting over 50% of the people from cold Facebook traffic that visit our page, because of the way I wrote it with all the copy and the abundance of, literally, people online study our opt-in page because of the way I wrote it, because I'm a marketing guy.
So how did you learn how to write copy? Because I always say writing copy is an art, not a science. It's a true art form.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone to, if I told you how many folks I've invested with over the years, Dan Kennedy copywriting course, John Carlton, the greatest copywriter.
You're learning from the experts, right?
My rule, Michelle, is I go to the best and I pay them a whole bunch of money to tell me and teach me what they know. So if I wanted to sell a business and I found out you sold 1,000 businesses, I promise you I'd be knocking on your door and saying, hey, I want to know how you do this, and I want you to help me sell this business. So let's, what do I need to write you a check for? And it's amazing like, when you approach people like that, how they just open up and teach you everything, their best stuff. I always go with everybody like, how much do you need me to write you a check for to teach me this stuff?
Right. You want to learn from the experts.
Yeah, so my rule is, think about this. God forbid, if you had a medical situation, you're not going to go down the street, like a serious medical situation. You're not going to go down the street to the doc in a box, the urgent guy or lady. Mm-hmm. You try and find the best person you can find, right? How can we do that for everything in our business and in life?
Because people are trying to save money, and by saving money, it ends up costing them so much more money. And Amen. I've been down that road myself. I think we've all, as business owners, entrepreneurs, have made that mistake of, and I've done it recently, actually, of hiring the wrong people to give us marketing advice, and it's the wrong people. So it's very important to learn.
Well, let's take like real estate. So I recently sold a house. I'm in one of my Florida homes. I have a place obviously in Vegas, but I have a Florida home also. Now I recently sold a home in Florida. There was a few $1,000,000. And when I was ready to sell it, I said, okay, who sells the biggest, baddest homes around here? Who's selling the $30 million homes, the $15 million homes, the $20 million homes, the $7-8 million homes? And I found the guy, because I'm like, okay, if he can move these big ones, and he's running with people who got $10-15 million homes, $20 million homes, he could sell my little $3-4 million home easily.
Right.
And literally, he got me a high percentage, way above the actual price, the going price, where I've made buku bucks on it. Why? Because I went to the best.
You went to the best, yeah.
Went to the best. I went and found them. I didn't know. I just went and found them. I started asking around. I started picking up all the magazines. I started all the realtor magazines. Like, who's the best person? I started calling the editors of the magazines. Say, hey, who's the number one mover and shaker? Like, who just gets deals done and sells really massive high-end homes? And ended up getting connected with the person, and boom.
And boom, there you are.
Didn't even list, by the way. Did not even list.
Wow.
A client and said, I got this great house coming. It's beautiful. It's on a lake. I think it'd be made me an offer that was way above the appraisal, like way above the appraisal. Didn't matter. Came in all cash. So that's my point. Go to the best people and they get stuff done for you. It doesn't matter if it's medical, marketing, speaking, selling a business, real estate. You go find the best people.
Yep. I agree 1,000%.
So much time.
Yep. And that's why, we're the best at what we do, and we get our clients 20 to 40% more than what we appraise them for. And then sometimes, as high as 65%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you sent me your book. I still have it. It's in my Vegas house. When you sent to endorse it, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I remember your first book because I always remember your first book because it had the little flap thing.
Yes.
Right? I always remember that.
Yes, because the printer said, Michelle, you can have do hardcovers, but when you do a soft cover, have the flap on the inside.
Yeah.
So that was their idea, and everybody loved that because you don't see that very often. And that book was called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth.
You created TOMA, T-O-M-A. Here we are, all these years later, and I remember it.
Absolutely.
But that's my point. If I'm gonna exit a business, I'm coming to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go find somebody that sold one or two businesses here or there.
And if I need speaker training, I'm going to you, which is why I went to your event. So now
you asked what TOMA was, right?
Yeah, I want the listeners to know what TOMA is.
TOMA, T-O-M-A, top of mind awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, Michelle, have top of mind awareness in the selling the business category niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've done it. You've written 2 books, based around it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows you as that person. I'm sort of known on the big money speaker. If you want to make big money as a speaker, then you kind of go to James. So that's what I mean by TOMA, where you come to the forefront of people's minds,
right,
on what you do,
right.
However, like that mail piece I mentioned, or mailing directly to the Convention and Visitors Bureau event coordinator folks in the mail, when no one else is mailing, you create TOMA within their minds.
Right.
Top of mind, because that's the only mail piece they're
because
receiving.
Everybody's emailing, like you said. And so you don't do any email at all? You don't do any emailing?
So no, the only people we email is if they email us. And by the way, I personally don't do email. I haven't done email for 10 years. Like people are like, well, how do I email you? I'm like, you can't.
No, we email your sister.
Yeah, she runs everything. She runs my entire schedule and runs everything.
Yeah.
So I just think email is one of the biggest time wasters on the planet. And, I don't want people wasting my time because, time's precious. One of the most beautiful, precious commodities out there. And, people usually email you stuff that has no value of where you're going to make profit with it. It's not like business email. It's usually like stuff that takes your time up. So I just got rid of I journaled about 10 years ago. I tracked for over 30 days how much time I was spending on email. It was crazy, Michelle. Like I would leave for a few days of speaking and I'd come back and I'd have hundreds of emails. I had a 40-hour-a-week work job to go through all the emails.
Wow.
And so I started journaling and tracking how many of these actually brought me new business or turned into renewal business. None of them. 30 days worth of it. And I'm like, I don't like my coaching members know, call me, call myself. And I will talk to you as much as you want. And that way we can talk through things, but I don't sit there and go back and forth.
I prefer calling too. Unfortunately in my line of my industry, sellers and buyers love to email. But I always think things get lost through the translation. So I much prefer to have a conversation.
Yeah, or they sit in spam, or if you're trying to email like event coordinators, a lot of their companies, they got spam blockers. You're not even making it through.
Right.
You're wasting time and money.
So do you send your packages in a certain type of envelope in which to get their attention even more?
Yeah, I have an envelope with my picture all over it, and on the back side, I don't have one handy here to grab. Oh yeah, so here. So this is the number 10 envelope. This is the number 10 envelope.
Love it.
And here's the back.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And imagine a big 9x12 the same way. That's the back.
Right.
And that's the front. And then, I wasn't expecting to do a direct mail example, but this is my thank you note. If I can see it.
The branding is right on point, huh?
And then there's the back of the envelope for the little thank you note.
Right.
This is the note that goes inside of it.
Wonderful.
So and then here's the side of the note, and there's the back side of the envelope.
That's wonderful. And then I imagine that your brochure that you send the event coordinators is quite impressive as well.
It is real simple. It's 6 pages. I have one in my garage. I don't have one here.
That's okay. We'll have you back on the show.
But it's 8.5 by 11, 3 8.5 by 11 sheets that are just folded and then folded down into a regular mail piece.
Yeah.
And here it's 6 pages, if you will, front, back, front, back, front, back. So 3 8.5 by 11 sheets is because it only costs 1 first class stamp to mail out.
Yeah. Wow.
That 10,000 person database. Think about that. It costs about $5,500 to mail 10,000 pieces. I can mass mail.
Right. Right. All first class.
Yeah, first class. The brochure.
That's amazing. That's a great tip.
Yeah, it works. Literally, to mail 10,000 pieces, postage is about 55 cents. I mean, add another, let's say, 20 cents for the mail piece at that, you're printing up 10,000 of them. So you're looking 75, 80 cents to mail out 10,000 to 10,000 people who have budgets and money. So that's $8,000 to reach 10,000 people who all have money. Like, that's the key. They have to be the right pre-qualified person to make it onto my list.
Right.
If they run an event, but they don't have a budget for speakers, they're not on my list. Right? Only the people on my list of, it used to be 1,000, then 2, then 5, now it's up to 10,000. The only people are people who have events and they have budgets to pay speakers to speak at those events.
How do you know if they have budgets to pay speakers? Does the information tell you that when they hand over the list?
So again, I don't know how it is where you are. I can only speak for how I did it where I live, right?
Right.
But here's how it is. Like, it's a data reporting agency, right? So they get all that data.
Right.
I know when the event's happening, which hotel or casino it's happening, how many people are coming, who the event coordinator is, all their contact information. I know their budget for the entire meeting and convention. I got all those data points.
Wow.
So,
now, are you allowed to sell on stage when you go speak at these events, or probably not because they're paying you to speak, right? Because you're a keynote speaker.
yeah, it depends. So if you're being, my rule is if you're being paid to speak, you're supposed to speak. You're not supposed to be up there doing a 20 minute.
You're not supposed to sell, correct.
Yeah. But what I do, and this is, here, so I'll give you a little example. So all these, so you mentioned like publishers of books versus, I said, I self-publish, right?
Mm.
Well, I print my books up for like 70, 80 cents. Hardcover book, 150 pages, 70 or 80 cents per copy, hardcover, right? So if you have an event coming to, let's say Vegas, and you got 5,000 people coming, I turn around and I say, hey, you have one of these 3 budgets within your organization. Most people don't know that most companies and organizations have one of these 3 budgets, okay? It's a continuing education budget, a learning materials budget, or a training and development budget.
Hmm.
So you have to understand all 3 of them, because you don't know which one or which combination of those that a company has. So I always say, get in the habit of saying, you know, a learning materials budget, continuing education budget, or a training and development budget. So I say, you know, Michelle, you all probably have a learning materials budget, a continuing education budget, or a training materials budget. You go, oh yeah, we have a learning materials budget. Great. So time out. You know what those budgets are for?
For material. For
yeah,
books. For training material.
Yeah, making their people better. Yes. Right. Michelle, my book qualifies, or any of my books qualify as continuing education, learning materials, and under training and development. Therefore, you can pull funds out of those budgets that you have, and let's get a book for everybody coming, and we'll ship them ahead of time. You can have them stuffed in everybody's registration bag, and after my keynote, I'll stand out in the lobby or in the back of the event room, and I'll sign autographs. I'll autograph the books for people. I'll take pictures with them, whatever you want me to do. But let's give added value And for that, these books are $25 because they're all hardcover, $25. And I have a sliding scale. So if you buy 5,000 of them, I'll make this easy. You get them for $10 a piece. Make this easy. You get them for $11 a piece. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's great. Let's give them great value. So now watch this. $11, $1 comes off to cover the printing of the book, which was like 70 to 80 cents. I net $10. Multiply $10 times 5,000, you just made another $50,000 plus your speaking fee. If your fee was 20, you are showing up and delivering a talk and getting paid $70,000.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so that's what a big money speaker is.
I'm shocked that you're printing for 80 cents. I'm printing for about $3. How many are you printing that for? How many?
Usually I have to print about 5,000 of them up to get that price.
How big are they? How big are your books? How many pages?
Can you hang on 1 second? I'll grab you one. Okay, so first of all, I'll show you. This is my simple little brochure.
Yep.
Mailed out. Oops, sorry. And the label goes right here, and a stamp goes right there, and so ready to go.
That's for speaking events.
Yeah. So this is all it is.
Yep.
They open it up. I'll show you what I mean by the 6-page. Come on.
You wrote all the copy, but you had somebody put it together for you.
Yeah, I don't know how to do graphic stuff. I don't want to learn that. That's $10 to $100 an hour job. But when you open it up, there's page 1. There's the back page.
Yeah.
When you open it up, this is what I mean by.
Oh, that's nice.
3 8.5 by 11s.
Right.
It has more than enough information they need to book me for their event, and it just folds like this and like this, and then with the wafer seals, it's now a self-mailer.
And so there's no envelope needed for that.
No envelope. So
that's great. That's fantastic.
All we got to do is get our list with the design actually printed up at the same place, a mail house. So the mail house prints this, has it all folded and sealed, prints the name on here, puts the postage on, and within 3 or 4 days mails out 10,000 of them.
Wow.
So it's all
So they see it and just open it automatically because they don't even have to look at an envelope to open it. Because a lot of times I'll see an envelope and I'll just put it to the side.
Yeah, and remember, if you're an event coordinator, it's coming to you and you're looking for the speaker or speakers for your event. So this is appealing. As a matter of fact, it even says attention meeting and event coordinators right at the top.
That's amazing.
Everything on here speaks directly to you, and the key is that it's getting mailed to the right person. Right. So that's that.
And you're not following up with a phone call, which is shocking.
No, I never have. No, I never have. Not in 20 some years of speaking. Well, if you do it the right way, if you have the right message delivered to the right market,
right,
the right media, the way they like to get it, where there's no competition,
right,
they're going to call you or email you because you're solving their problem. Hey, we have an event in 7 months. We need 4 speakers. This guy looks pretty good. I never heard of him, but this thing just showed up in my mailbox. Let's give him a call, or let's go, his website, and let's get him.
Looks amazing. Yeah. I have a one piece, a one sheet, but I think I might.
They've been teaching that one sheet stuff in speaking groups forever. It's total. People who don't know marketing teach you to do one sheets.
Which is everybody.
Yeah. So imagine this, Michelle. You have one of these, which is 6 pages. I mean, look how much stuff. These are all my celebrity testimonials on here, right?
Yep. Yep.
You have this, and it shows up, and for me,
what did you do when you were starting?
This shows up. Like I show up with one sheet, you show up with this. Who wins?
You win.
Me. Yeah, whoever has the better looking piece.
What did you do before you had the testimonials, James?
Oh, I just, did billboard. Like I put a big picture of my book, and that would take up a page. Yeah, I made big images to take up space. But yes. So here's my book, Millionaire Success Secrets.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I have that book.
Oh, cool. Yeah, hardcover, 150 pages.
150. Okay.
And first class, looks phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I print up laid out perfectly, right?
Well, 83 cents. I want the name of your printer.
Well, it's all based on volume and doing it the right. The key is this.
Well, I'm getting printed 20,000 at $350 a pop. So I would love the name of your printer.
How many pages in your book?
I'm about 325 pages.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's. Yeah. See, so a key ingredient to get the book prices for this cost. This is my referral book.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you got to keep it to about 150 pages.
Yeah, I just can't do that. I have too much meat and potatoes that had to go in it. But they should be able to still.
If I did two of those together, like if I put two of these together, it'd be 300 pages, yeah. Which would be on the high end.
$1.60, $1.70.
Yeah, $1.70, $2.
Okay, you will pee. So you'll have your sister email me the name of your printer. Yes.
I only do that for coaching members. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Oh, great. All right. So let's talk about The Secret Millionaire, the hit show that you were on. And, I remember meeting you. Oh, that's when we really met, is in War Room.
I was not in War Room.
You were there for one meeting. I think it's called War Room with Ryan Dice.
No, I've never been to War Room.
You never? What was it called?
Perry and Ryan.
Ryan Dice?
Ryan and Perry are good friends of mine. Perry lives by me.
I met you one time in Austin with them. You were there because you were showing all the marketing that you did for the show and how you monetized and how like other people that were on the show didn't do half the stuff that you were doing.
Yeah, that's true. I have, that, but I've never spoken at War Room.
I swear to God, you were there. You might have just been there for a visit. I remember. Because I heard you speak first, and then I saw you there.
Oh no! You know what? Dave Lindahl. Were you at Dave Lindahl's real estate event?
No.
No,
This is with Ryan Dice and Perry Belford. Yep, I can probably go back and find a picture that we took. But you were talking about all the stuff that you did and how you monetized. You're the master of monetization and how you were able to monetize everything that you did because it was a one show, right? It's one show. Yeah. You're on one time. But the effects still live on. You still have the residual from that one show because of all the effort you put into it. So talk to us about the show, your experience, and how you were able to monetize that and still monetizing that.
Yeah, so a lot of people will go on a TV show. For anybody watching who doesn't know, Secret Millionaire was a great blessing. It was on ABC primetime, and basically I lived undercover, and I was in impoverished neighborhoods. I lived on $44.66. No, for the whole week, by the way, not per day.
Oh, not per day. I was like, okay.
No, for the whole week. Yeah, that's what I thought when they handed me $44.66. I was like, oh, this is all right. I don't eat that much every day. And they're like, no, this is for the whole week. And I was like, what? Right?
What a wake-up call, huh?
Yeah.
That's a wake-up call.
So I lived undercover, and I looked for people who were making a difference in the lives of others. And at the end of my week there, I go to them and say, hey, I'm leaving town, and there's something I haven't told you, and I reveal my identity. And then I opened up my checkbook, and I started writing them checks to help further their mission. I wrote over $100,000 worth of checks to help them with their causes. Hence, Secret Millionaire. So I just wanted to frame it for anybody who doesn't.
That's great. I saw the episode, and you bought the gentleman that you gave a check to. I think it was a basketball coach.
Coach Tony. Yeah, Coach Tony.
Yeah, you bought Coach Tony to the event that you spoke at, and I have a picture with you and Coach Tony.
Yeah. I remember what it was. Wasn't that Chicagoland's Sharpest Entrepreneurs? Was it in Chicago?
In Austin. It was in Austin. It's going to
It's
going to come to you, I promise.
But on a sidebar, Michelle, Coach Tony and I are best friends.
Oh, wow.
And he calls me and we text all the time, like literally every week. So all the time we're still best of friends.
That's wonderful.
So to answer your question, a lot of folks might get to go on a show and they think they're going to be like the next Denzel Washington, right? This is my debut of my acting career or something, right?
Right.
I was real honest with myself. Like, I'm not going to be the next Denzel, right? So we had two sides of the coin. On the first side, we're going to help people. We're going to make a difference in their lives. We're going to write them some checks. They're going to be able to fund their missions, etc. But then on the flip side, we're running a business here. And television is nothing more than another media outlet. It's no different than doing a mail piece. It's no different than running a big ad in a newspaper, different than podcasts, etc. And if you use it the right way, you can attract a lot of leads. So I went into it from a business standpoint, understanding that this is a way to get a whole bunch of folks to attract to us who didn't know about me before. So I had I bought all these keywords, I hired all these internet companies, and so I had all these websites coming up on the keywords. So you would type in like Secret Millionaire or ABC Secret Millionaire, and my websites were coming up everywhere. And so how I started to monetize it, to answer your question, was about a year before it actually came out. We filmed it and then it came out a year later. I actually sat down at Starbucks in a private room, and I put 3 big sheets of paper up on the wall, big flip chart paper on the wall, and I wrote BDA. What am I going to do before the show comes out to monetize my appearance? What am I going to do during it while it's running? And then what am I going to do after it? And I spent like a day or two brainstorming on every single thing that we could create. And so one of the things I realized was I needed to say, when we film it, because at the time I did it, we didn't actually film it yet. We were filming it like a month later. One of the things I realized was I need to say certain things on the show where I plant seeds that will make people who watch the show go Google me. And have all these websites coming up, and we get them on our email list. Then I can take them through funnels. Yeah. Well, we had over, I think it was 200,000 people.
Wow. You had 200,000 people come through your funnels from that show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We also did a product launch around it. So the day after the show aired, we did a big product launch. We had a Russell Brunson, Mike Canings, all these folks who are big internet marketers promoting our stuff out. And I created a course called Millionaire Success Secrets Revealed. We did a whole product launch around it. We did a premiere of the show at my house and had all the big affiliates, Russell Brunson, all these folks fly to Vegas and be at the premiere when the show came out. I had Robin Leach, my friend Robin, he passed away a little while ago, but Robin Leach, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, came up,
of course,
hosted the party. We broadcasted it live throughout the internet. We had people from 50 different countries. We shut down the internet, actually. I got banned from the cable company because I didn't know you had to have a special license to like sort of widen the pipes so all the people can fit through. We're just running we're uploading stuff from my house to the internet.
Were y'all using Skype? Because we didn't have Zoom back then.
No, I hired an entire company to come in, and they followed me around the house, filmed everybody, interviewed people, broadcast everybody. Why? We had like 800 people there who were at my premiere. So long story short, the main thing came down to this. This is just another media. And if we do it the right way, the real way to leverage this is to get people on our email list. So everything I did had to somehow bring people back to us. So I hired people who were on The Apprentice and American Idol, had them come to my events as speakers, not because I cared about what they spoke about, but because I wanted to talk to them for the hour-and-a-half dinner before they spoke so I can ask them a question. Hey, if you were going on a reality TV show again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently to bring you a whole bunch of business? And one of the things I got was from Bill Rancic. He won season 1 of The Apprentice. He said, if you could get them to pick up some of the stuff that you say in your bio when you film and use it in the trailers for the show as a soundbite, then that stuff could be running over and over and over multiple times a day, and you get free promotion. And so here we are filming my bio, and I wrote my bio in bullet points. I had 50 different bullet points so that it could be easily cut. So one of the bullet points I wrote was, I'm one of the highest paid, most in-demand motivational speakers and consultants in America. And man, Michelle, they took that out of all the things I said. They took that, put it into the main trailer, and that thing ran 200 times a day for, I think it was 6 months leading up to the show.
Wow.
It's out. You're watching, Desperate Housewives or Grey's Anatomy on ABC, and the trailer for the new show runs, and you hear, I'm one of the highest paid, most in-demand motivational speakers and marketing consultants in America. And you go, who's this dude? I never heard. I thought Tony Robbins was. Who is this guy? You go and start Googling. And remember, I had all these websites that would pop up. And so you click on one of the websites, you come to the website, and I pop up on a video and say, hey, this is James Malinchak, about to be featured on the new ABC hit TV show, Secret Millionaire. And if you would like to know how I built my business to help get ABC to want me to come on the show, put your name and email in, and I have some free video training for you on how you can build your business.
Wow.
I started running keywords on all that, and that's how we added all these people. So here's.
So you were able to monetize that for years after that and make tons and tons of money.
Well, so let's play this out. If you had 200,000 new people on an email list, this very simple, and all of them spent $50 with you in a year, $50 with you, that's $10 million. What if they spend $100 with you? Maybe not in a year, but what about over 5 years? That's $20 million. Question, would you go on a show and according to your contract, have to write checks for over $100,000 in order to get that kind of return back?
Of course I would. Of course I would. But I guarantee you other people that went on that show probably did not do the before, during, and after.
Nobody did.
Like you did, and haven't monetized because they don't have your marketing genius that you have.
I want you to think of something. Oh, well, that's very nice of you. I want you to think of something. Okay. I want you to think of how dumb some of these folks on other reality shows were after the word started getting around that I did this. And I started having people calling me left and right from like other shows who were going to be on different shows. To, man, I heard that you leveraged this thing, and I'm on, Undercover Boss, or I'm on this show, and I'd love to know how you do it. I said, hey, no problem. My fee is $25,000. You come and spend the day with me at my house. I'll walk you through a plan. I'll structure it out. I'll tell you what I did, and I'll tell you what you probably should do. Matter of fact, I'll even if you want to use my resources, the people we outsource to who built the pay, I'll just give all of those to you. It's just $25,000 for the day. I'm telling you, it'll be the best thing ever. Do you know not one of them would do it?
Wow, that's shocking to me. That's shocking. If I was going to be on a show, I would do that. I would absolutely do that because I remember.
They literally expected me to just like spend hours teaching them on the phone all this stuff, and I'm like, no, man, this is my time. I'm busy, and so I was like, $25,000.
Because everybody wants something for free. Everybody wants things for free. How did you get selected for the show to begin with? Because
my story is unique. I did not audition in a baseball stadium with 200,000 other people. I didn't even pursue the show.
200,000 people auditioned?
No, well, they like for American Idol, when American Idol,
yeah. Okay.
200,000 people show up in every city, right?
Right.
I didn't do any of that. The way it happened was, my story is kind of unique. A mutual friend of mine and the producer, the main producer, recommended me to the producer. Oh my gosh, you're doing this. Like, I guess they were having lunch or something. And the friend asked the producer, so what are you working on? Well, I'm doing this show, and it's successful business people living undercover. And the mutual friend said, oh my gosh, you need to talk to my friend, James Malinchak. He's like, well, who's James Malinchak? He said, oh, you just got to contact him. So they reached out, and I turned them down for 2 weeks. I didn't know it was ABC. It was all hidden because they always hide their identity. And finally, I got on the phone like 2 weeks later. They couldn't believe I was turning them down. Well, I didn't know it was ABC, and they were presenting it as a documentary, and so I get on the phone, and she starts telling me what it's about and says, you'd be perfect for this. And I'm like, but I don't want to do this thing. And then she revealed she was ABC, and she showed me some of the trailers from the previous ones they did overseas. And I was like, why would you want me? Like, I'm not a TV dude. And long story short, that was a Friday. I was in Dallas speaking, and they asked if they could fly to Las Vegas and meet with me on that Monday, and I was free on that Monday. They flew, 2 producers flew to my house and met with me, and I still didn't believe them. I sat through the meeting like this. They're playing some joke on me, like, this is not, like, why would ABC television contact me? I kept going in my head. Finally.
Did you actually bring yourself back to, like, Pittsburgh, going outside of Pittsburgh and going, I'm just a small town boy that grew up?
I still say that now. Like, I still say that now. I say, look, I'm a small steel mill town kid who happened to do some things right, and so I always said that, and I just couldn't understand ABC television. Why? I couldn't get it through my head. I'm not a TV dude, and I didn't know they didn't want TV people. They want to just average everyday people.
They want average everyday secret millionaires.
And so I didn't buy them. I didn't believe it. I was like, I totally thought they were full of crap. I even told them, I said, you guys are full of crap. Like, you're lying to me here in my house. Like, they said they have, and the producer, oh my gosh, next to Mark Burnett, this producer is the most successful producer in television. She's been doing it for 28 years. The biggest shows out there, and I'm telling her, you're full of crap. Through my head, like, I'm thinking somebody's playing a joke on me. Mm-hmm. And so she got up from the chair, walked around my desk in my office at my house, in my Vegas house. She grabbed my arm, and she said, look at me in my eyes. She said, look at me. She says, I promise you, and I give you my word. This is real. We are not going to hurt people and make people look bad. And this is a really great thing that's going to change people's lives. We love you. You should do this show. And I just believed her. I believe she was a good soul, a good human being. And she was phenomenal. Everything she said, she stuck to her word. We're still dear friends to this day. I can call her right now and she'd pick up the phone. I go to lunch with her every time we're in LA. I mean, so if I ever wanted a reality show, all I do is I call her up. That's how, she's just a good human being. And I'm so blessed to have known her. Now, here's the funny thing, Michelle. Remember I said that mutual person introduced us? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. To this day, I don't know who that person is. And the producer can't remember who the person was. Right? And so I can't even properly thank that person. If it wasn't
the producer cannot remember who told her? Wow.
No, I mean, like, it wasn't like they were best friends, right? It was like, they know tons of people. They know tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it was like somebody who was on a previous show or something like that, and they happened to be having lunch, and that's how it all happened. But she can't even remember who the person was. Like, and so I can't even thank the person. But how ironic. I always say the power of one person who and believes in you. You just never look. We wouldn't be on this interview for your folks if it wasn't for that person, because none of this would have happened.
Right. Right.
So the power of relationships and friendships and
circle of influence.
Being good to people and not screwing people over.
I call it proximity. Your proximity.
Yeah.
That one person could change your life forever. Like you changed people's lives on that show.
Oh, well, they changed mine.
Like Coach Tony, and they changed your life too. Yeah.
Yeah. He just actually last week mailed me a T-shirt. He's always I got Coach Tony speaking. Coach Tony's written 4 books now.
Wow.
So it's been a great blessing. But that
was a great show. I wish it was still on.
Well, the reason is because people started figuring it out.
Oh.
Yes. Well, most people don't think about this. When I was filming, I had 15 plus people around me at all times, right? And so even when I would be sleeping, there were cameras filming me, right? So anytime I walked, you might see me walking down the street on the show. You don't realize there's 15 people around. There's police for protection.
Oh, yeah.
Guy who has nothing is in charge of controlling the mic, and hang on, we got an airplane flying up there, it's going to pick up, we got to stop. We had people that were showrunners running around getting us food. We had producers, we had camera folks. I mean, you know something's happening when you see You don't see the show, but if you're there, you know something's going on. And so they started to figure it out.
That's too bad, because it's a great show.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
That was like one of my favorite shows ever.
Mine
too. You dropped so many go-to nuggets today. What are some go-to nuggets you have for anyone who's trying to market, somebody's trying to be a speaker, business people?
Yeah, sure.
What are some of your biggest tips?
Yeah, so I say this when I sit down with all my, well, I don't sit down with them now. We sit down through Zoom with this whole situation in the world. But when I sit down on Zoom with them now or in person, I say, look, let me tell you a couple things. First of all, I am never thinking like you and I as we sit here and create this marketing stuff. I'm thinking like the buyer. I don't buy from you, is what I tell them. There's a prospect out there, and we have to create from their point of view if you want to get massive conversions. So the first thing I always tell everybody is when you create marketing pieces, never think like yourself. You got to.
I think that's the biggest mistake owners make. When owners or entrepreneurs are trying to market, it's all about they throw up on it. They throw up on the consumer about everything they can do, and still trying to figure out what's in it for them. I
tell folks, like, you want to write your book. Like, I can be sitting down with a coaching client. You want to write your book. Well, don't write your book from your point of view. You write the book from the person who's going to potentially pick it up point of view. That's why we'll create different headlines. Imagine receiving a continuous stream of new and repeat business. In fact, people would prefer to do business with you if you are referred to them. This book will give you simple and easy ways to attract more business referrals. See, that's written from the person who's thinking about buying this book on referrals. Written from my point of view.
Right. That's a great tip.
So no matter what you're doing in any kind of marketing, this right here, this marketing brochure is not written from my point of view. It's written from the person who is sitting in Boise, Idaho, who's going to receive it in the mail and start reading it. I need to hit all the triggers. Here, let me give you one. Let me give you an example. So this little letter here that I wrote to them, okay? Imagine you're an event coordinator, Michelle, and you see this. Hi, friend. First of all, friend, using the word friend.
Right.
It's a barrier it lowers barriers for folks.
That's a great tip.
Planning a successful conference or meeting is a huge job and responsibility. See, I'm telling them I understand what they do, and I understand that it's important, right? So
yeah.
I want to make your job easier. My number one priority is to be the easiest speaker you have ever worked with.
That's awesome. They'll be like, what?
Speaking, yeah. Because what do you hear? You hear horror stories.
Yep.
Event court, oh, we had this one speaker, and oh my gosh, he was such a pain in the butt, and I had to get green M&Ms for him, and this and do that. We had to move the chairs around. No, so I'm telling them that I understand what you do. You're busy. It's important. I'm going to be a breeze for you. This is going to be simple, right? My goal is to make you look great and have your audience thanking you for inviting me to speak for them. Your audience will be instantly engaged, and they will leave inspired and motivated to overcome challenges and achieve greater success. Thank you for your consideration. I look forward to working together. There's another key, using the word together. We're partners. I look forward to working together to help you create your best event ever.
Wow.
See, that's not saying, hey, look at me, I'm so great, and you should hire me. This is writing something from their point of view. So that's the number one tip I always tell.
And it seems like common sense, right? But it really isn't. Because everybody gets stuck in their head when they write stuff.
Common sense is not common.
Not so common.
So Michelle, you know what I do? Maybe this helps everybody. And people they can't believe I do this. So, because believe it or not, it's hard for me to write stuff for myself. I could create stuff for you all day long, right? Create stuff for any client all day long. But now I have to do it for myself. And it's like, we all get stuck in that writing about me syndrome, right?
Right.
That's what I do. I write myself a check for consulting. Deposit that check. I would, right? And then watch this. When I sit down at my desk, I'm still in my mindset of creating it for myself. So I literally stand up. I'm not kidding. I stand up and I go like this. I jump and I look back and pretend that I'm sitting in this chair. And I say, okay, my client James is sitting here. He just paid me a check and I have to write great copy for him. What am I going to do to make sure I sell him and get people to buy his stuff, whatever it is he's promoting? And then that's how I can write great stuff for myself. I trick into writing for my client James.
That's a great mind shift. That's a great, because so you're not just thinking it, you take a massive action and you're shifting, right? Making that shift.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great advice. What are speakers doing now? So I'm sure that you're getting calls and clients and everything, about what speakers can do now, since there are no more platforms. There's only digital platforms right now.
Yeah. And the problem, and the big problem with companies, groups, organizations, they're still in limbo. So it's not like they took all those physical event budgets and moved them to virtual online budgets, right? They still don't know what's happening because we don't know what's happening in the economy. With this whole COVID thing. So I was talking to Jack Canfield. I've worked with Jack a lot. I've done a lot of business stuff for Jack.
He gave us a testimonial too for Exit Risk.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. I love Jack. Love Jack. I've worked with his team, done marketing stuff. His CEO, Patty Aubrey, is one of my main coaching clients. I talk to her all the time. But he had about 20 talks that were on the books that were canceled. Probably about 10 or 11 of them converted to virtual, but only one of them paid a fee.
Wow.
And that's because most of these groups right now are still in this, we don't know where this is going mode. Like, do we go all in and do all of our training for our people virtually? Or do we still just kind of wait back and see what happens in another 5 or 6 months? I think that's what's been happening, right? We had this first, let's wait 4 or 5 months. Now let's wait another 4. I think that's where most of the groups are right now. The fee paid speakers who are friends of mine and clients who are really like real fee paid speakers, meaning they're doing like 100 gigs a year at high fees. All of them are in the same situation where they might get paid for like one, but the majority of the other ones aren't paying for the virtual stuff yet.
Well, I hope they figured out how to pivot, or they have other revenue streams.
Yeah. I hope they save their money and don't have a lot of debt.
That too.
Yeah, that's why I always preach to my folks, pay your stuff, get all your bills paid off, but don't stop making your payments. And they're like, what? So pay your house off, but don't stop making your house payment. Pay it to your retirement. Pay it to your stash fund. Pay your car off, but keep making your car payment every month. Just pay it to yourself.
Right.
You build, like, because people are all freaked out. Like, I don't want to pay off stuff. That's crazy. Like, no. What's the price of peace of mind? And not. So when you asked earlier what happened with COVID and nothing, our business didn't miss a beat. I mean, I missed some speaking gigs, but
because you're a business owner, an entrepreneur who speaks. You're not a speaker who's trying to have a business.
You hit the nail on the head.
That's a big difference. And you have coaching clients. A lot of these speakers just rely on their speaking income, and that's it, or what they sell from stage, and they have nothing else. And
I have to be honest with you. I was that person too back before 9/11 happened. When ironic, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
This is 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I remember when it all happened, and I mean, no flights and everybody, I was nervous and scared.
I was in Washington. I was at the Smithsonian when 9/11 hit. I was there.
I was flying in the air, and they brought us down fast. I was going to Tallahassee, Florida to speak for Florida State University.
Wow.
When that happened. But what happened was it made me, I always say that when a catastrophe or something unexpected happens, you should let that kick you in the rear and get you in gear to start planning differently. So fortunately for me, when that happened and all my gigs were gone, I was like, okay, I got to start. But fortunately, I had already been paying stuff off, and I had already built up a nice cash influx. So I was fine from a financial standpoint, but no income coming in. Oh my gosh, this could happen at any time again in the future. better start planning for different streams of income. I better start investing in businesses. I better start, having consulting programs, online courses. I started making all these different revenue streams.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. It took a long time for it to come back around, but we're in that same situation.
Right. Well, I mean, we had 2008 where the economy, fell, and now we have this. But I had Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, so I suffered from that. So that made me, that kind of kicked me in the rear to get into gear and start having businesses in other areas all throughout the United States. So, catastrophes can really cause us to think differently and pivot and really grow our business and thrive out of a catastrophe.
And 100%. So that's a long way to say that's something I've always, for my coaching clients, I have always taught them that. I'm like, no, we're not getting caught up in this pie in the sky, you're a speaker thing. We're going to build a real business here.
Mm-hmm.
I used to always say this. So if another 9/11 happens, you ain't going to worry about it.
Right.
And so the clients that listen to me, when this all happened, I remember talking to one of my clients. He's one of the top trainers of financial advisors, teaching them how to grow their practices. And I remember talking to him right when it all hit. And he said, man, James, I am so glad I listened to you all those years ago. He's my longest client. He's been with me about 14 years now. He said, my house is paid off. Car's paid off. I got about 1.5 years worth of money put in away for the business to pay all the staff. I ain't worried about that. So if we don't run another event for 3 years,
we're good.
I got online programs. I got coaching programs. And I'm so glad I listened to you. I have no debt. I got a bunch of money put away, and I have different streams of income coming in. Had I not listened to you 7-8 years ago when you pounded it home to me, don't just be a seminar leader, that I probably wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah, that was great. That's great advice. And that's why I always said I'm going to be a business owner.
Yeah.
Many businesses in diverse industries who speaks.
Very smart. Very smart. Very smart.
So thank you so much for giving us a testimonial for Exit Rich.
My pleasure.
What is the biggest problem you see with people trying to exit their business, or what type of advice do you have for people trying to exit their business? Because 90% of businesses don't sell. 90%.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is I tell people this all the time. You ought to be creating your business right now as you're going to sell it. Because you'll do things differently, right? So like a brand new person coming in, like let's take somebody who wants to do speaking. They're like, well, I'd love to be paid a check to go speak. I said, hey, that's great. But he said, we need to build a business here. And we need to build a business like a training and development type company. We're going to sell in 5 years.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to sell a company and build. No. It's not the fact that we're going to go sell it. It's the fact that you're going to run everything differently if you think that way. You're going to create systems. You're going to have policies and procedure manuals so people can just pick it up and read it and know how to run things. So I think the biggest mistake, Michelle, is people don't let's say that at some point they want to sell their business. Well, you need to start right now organizing and orchestrating and getting revenues up, all the things you probably teach. The time to do that is now.
Right.
Like when you wake up 6 years from now and say, I'd love to try to sell this thing. You need everything ready now.
And you're absolutely correct. And I always say the biggest mistake business owners make is not planning their exit. And they should plan their exit from day one of starting or buying a business. I'm glad somebody else is saying it other than me, because nobody ever really plans their exit. I mean, out of thousands of businesses, I think I found one person that planned their exit from the beginning. But you're right, it's not about selling today. It's about running it as if you're going to sell it, because in that way, you're building a scalable business that somebody will want to buy one day. Most people don't think about selling until a catastrophic event has occurred, and by then it's too late.
Exactly. And then they get, pennies on the dollar versus what they could really be getting.
Pennies on the dollar of being forced into bankruptcy, which they not just going to lose their business assets, they'll lose their personal assets too, because most business owners commingle funds.
Yeah. Oh, that's another mistake. They're not structured the right way.
Correct.
So I would say get structured the right way now.
Right.
So if anybody's watching this, I don't care if you may just be right out of dental school, and you just, bought a dental practice, and you're your first, second, third year, you're not even thinking about it. You're like, I got 20 years. That's fine, but get structured the right way now.
Yeah.
Start running your practice as if you were going to sell it, and organizing everything, because you will run everything systematically and smoother, and you won't be in there having to fix the teeth all the time.
That's right. Because if you're in there fixing the teeth all the time and we take you out of the practice, there is no practice.
There is no practice.
Most dentists and chiropractors and MDs, they don't have associates. They don't build a team.
Yeah.
They are the business. And when you take them out of the business is gone.
You know what? I always say this, most folks, and the main thing for anybody watching this is it's really what Michelle and I are talking about, is thinking differently.
Yeah, thinking differently.
Don't think like a business owner. Think like an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Transformational versus transactional, right?
100%, yeah. If you are not thinking this way, then guess what? You aren't an entrepreneur. You are doing high-paid manual labor in a job. Mm-hmm. I tell speakers this all the time who they don't have the structure. I said, look, you're just a high-paid manual labor. Because you got to get on a plane, go speak, travel, pick up the check, come back home.
Right.
Manual labor.
Right.
You could be high paid, like 15, 20 grand, 30 grand, 5 grand, whatever that is, but it's still manual labor.
Right.
It's not a business.
It's not a business, and it's not working for you unless you're working for it.
Yeah.
You have to create a business that's working for you.
My tip to everybody would be think differently. Even if you don't see it now, under Michelle, her team, some guy, James, that talked on a interview, we see it for you because we've been down this road before. Just trust the experts and start setting your business up right now to run as if you were going to sell it.
Right. That's the number one advice. That's the biggest point. That's what I always try to get across to business owners is if you would build it that way, then you could sell it for your $20 million price tag. Business owners come to me and say, Michelle, I want to sell for $20 million. I go, okay, what's your EBITDA? Oh, my EBITDA is $50,000. Well, nobody's going to pay $20 million for $50 grand. Well, Michelle, I got patents, or I got this, I got that. I said, I don't care. The EBITDA has to support the asking price. Yeah. And I go, well, that's what I need to retire on. Well, the buyer doesn't care about what you need.
Nope.
The buyer cares about the value and what they're going to get when they buy your business, what it's going to do for them.
I got to tell you this quick little last tip, this story.
Okay.
So a coaching member who had an internet company, and he, like a lot of folks that start internet companies, you start off by helping folks and you're doing all the stuff, right? And about 5 years ago, I said, your son was born, and you got to think about at some point wanting to unload this, because you may not want to be doing it, and you can't be doing all this stuff. So you got to put the people in place and the system. You got to start running it now as if you were going to sell it, because you never know what could happen in the future.
Right.
I've told that to numerous people. He took it to heart and started to put systems in place, hiring the right people, removing him, right? Starting to, really get higher price programs, getting people, every year, clients for 5-6 years in a row. So last year, his wife, who was in her 30s, unexpectedly had a stroke. Doctor said that they have no idea why. It's just one of those bizarre things out of the blue. And he's now forced to drive her everywhere, take care of her like a good husband or what you do for the husband, right?
Sure, of course.
And do you know, because he set everything up, he was able to approach a company who ended up literally right out, like within a matter of 30 days, decided, yes, we want to buy this. We're looking for an internet component to add to our company. And because everything was set up the right way, because everything was run starting 5 years ago as a company that he was going to sell, which he never planned on it. But now all of a sudden this amazing, unexpected tragedy happened. He was able to unload that thing. He got an amazing price for it. He was so happy. He's like, and I just talked to him on the phone 2 weeks ago, and he's like, James, it's amazing. Had I not started that back then, I never thought this would happen to my wife.
Yeah.
He's so grateful that he was able to unload it, and he would not have been able to, or he would have got nothing for it had he not started planning way back when everything was fine.
Right. So he's one of the 2%ers
Yeah.
that actually listen and take massive action. And, it's just, it blows my mind because, again, I've been doing this 20 years, thousands of businesses. It blows my mind to know that business owners do not plan to set their business up for a successful exit in the future.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't want to sell right now, you have a better business. You have a business that operates without you, and you have a business that makes a lot more money. Because I always say profits is never the problem. It's always the symptom of not having the right people in place, or not having the right processes in place, or not protecting your IP, your proprietary, or having customer concentration, not protecting your client base. Yeah. So, I always say the same thing, but it just shocks me. I mean, people plan for their children, right? They plan what elementary school they're going to go to, what high school, what college, what job you're going to get. But they don't plan for the exit of their business.
Yeah.
It's financial suicide.
That's why they need folks like you. That's why I'm so glad you have written your book, and now you got the next book coming out here, because, first part of all, I say this all the time, first part of all transformation is awareness.
Right. Absolutely.
You can't transform if we don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. But once you become aware, you can change that fast.
Right.
And so you, Michelle, what you're doing and your team, which is awesome, is you're bringing awareness to some really good people who are business owners who had no clue they probably should be thinking this way and acting this way now.
Right.
Congratulations to you. Kudos to you. And
thank you.
You're doing well business-wise and profitability-wise, but, you're making a difference in people's lives who probably would never learn that they should be doing this.
Right. Well, that it really became my mission and my passion about 20 years ago, because I learned that it used to be 90% of businesses will go out of business in the first 1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Now that's changed dramatically. When I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, I did the research. It's now only 30% of businesses are at risk of going out of business 1 to 5 years. But James, listen to this. The business owners that have been in business over 10 years, out of 27 million businesses, 70% of those businesses will go out of business. You hear about Toys R Us, JCPenney's, you hear about the big box stores, but you're not hearing about the mom and pops on every street corner in every state across our great nation. They're going out of business because they stopped innovating, and they stopped what you do best, marketing. They stop innovating, they stop marketing, and they go out of business because somebody else comes in and eats off their plate and takes the business away from them. Whoever makes it easiest for the consumer to do business with them is where the consumer is going to go. That's why Amazon is winning. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's my passion to save these businesses from going. I know, it's crazy. I did the research like 10 different times because I didn't believe it. I'm like, and even Sharon Lecter, she's like, Michelle, I don't think that's true. And I had to do it again and show it to her. But so it's my mission, passion to save these business owners from, losing everything, not just their business assets, but family assets too.
Yeah.
So James, you've been amazing.
You're making a difference, and it's an honor to know you. I love people who are changing lives and doing good for others. So thank you for that, and congratulations for that.
Thank you for having you, and you're making a huge difference too. And I'm glad you came on our podcast and dropped all these golden nuggets. So how can our listeners catch up to you? How can they find out more information? And
real simple, very easy. BigMoneySpeaker.com. www.bigmoney, M-O-N-E-Y, speaker, SPEAKER.com. The easiest way to find me, or you can reach out to me on Facebook or social media.
Always branding. I love it.
By the way, I got to tell you something. I was on a Zoom one time, and I used to have like a tiny little logo, and nobody could ever see it. So when we got our shirts reprinted up about a year ago, I said, I want a big logo so that it could be seen throughout like Zooms and throughout the internet.
Yep.
So that's why our logo is so big. Always be marketing, ABM, always be marketing.
That's what we say, ABM. You and I could go on for hours and hours and hours. Well, we're gonna have to have you back on though, for sure.
Oh, I'd love to.
The title of the book, Exit Rich.
Oh, I love it. I loved it when you first sent it to me. I was like, oh, this is a great title. Because I always say a title, you should know what the whole book is about.
Right.
Never hearing its subtitle, and it should make me want to pick it up. So like if you see Millionaire Referral Secrets,
right,
in the sales profession, you probably want to pick that up. You don't need to know what the subtitle is. You don't need to read the back, and when I saw Exit Rich for the first time, when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, this is a real, I would buy this based on the title alone because I know what the whole book's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Prayers for your mom. I hope she's doing okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So thank you to all of our listeners to tuning in at another episode of Find Your Exit. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I'll definitely want to have you back. I know our listeners will want to have you back.
I would love to come back. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for listening, for watching.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Find Your Exit podcast. Don't forget to check out Michelle Seiler Tucker's Build to Sell Blueprint books and Exit Rich, along with more blogs, videos, and resources at findyourexit.org. Be sure to connect with Michelle on Facebook or LinkedIn and stay tuned for her next episode by subscribing in your favorite podcast player.